Morning, Facebook. Morning, TJ Ferguson. What we playing today?
There's a new style of fishing around.
Not sure yet.
It's not done with rods and reels or tackle. The rods and reels have been replaced with computers, and the tackle are now unsolicited emails. This is Kevin Britton at the Idabel National Bank. Never provide your personal information in response to an unsolicited request. No legitimate business or financial institution will ask you for information via an email. Helping your dreams become reality at the Idabel National Bank. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Fiber optics have replaced and are replacing the old broken cable lines in Idaho. This is bringing high-speed internet and satellite quality television to your home and business in Idaho. The internet is lightning fast, and the television reception is amazing, and it includes Oklahoma City television stations. Visit the Pine office in Idaho for more information on the fiber optic plans becoming available to all Idaho businesses and residents. The Pine office is on Southeast Washington in Idaho, right next door to the new Milano's Pizza.
Live from First Day Bank Studios, good morning. I'm Oran Jackson.
And I'm Micah Frazier.
It's 7 a.m. We're committing this time to reading some scripture. Today it's James 1. It says, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do." That was James 1. This passage reminds us that faith is more than hearing and knowing. It's about living it out. Just like a mirror shows us who we are, God's word reveals his truth and direction for our lives. But if we walk away without applying it, we lose the blessing it offers. James is challenging us to be doers, not just hearers. When we put God's word into action, showing kindness, forgiving others, standing firm in faith, we experience true freedom and the blessings of walking in step with him. That was James 1. This 7 a.m. scripture is brought to you by Trey Collins Construction and Trucking. That's 580-236-9295.
Topic of the day is urban myths. Some debunked and some happen to be true. More on that right after Laney Wilson with 4x4 by you here on 96.7 KBEL. wonderful. Mortal Kombat, huh? That. Wait. And my white hairs is just as light. That one might be a white hair. See? In your face, Sean Daggett. It's just the light on my shiny hair. Well, that one may be a white hair.
Here's your McCurry County weather forecast. Brought to you by Pine Cellular, coverage when it matters most. Today, expect sunny skies, highs near 80 degrees, east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tonight, mostly clear skies, lows around 54, east winds around 5 miles per hour 10 tonight.
Today we're talking about urban myths. Have you heard some of these? Have you not? Have you been scared of these since you were a kid? Let's find out. How about the killer in the back seat? Have you ever heard of this one? It's the woman driving at night is warned by a truck driver, flashing his lights, and it turns out there was a murderer hiding behind her back seat. In the fiction, it's a cautionary tale about awareness but never verified. And there was a movie called Urban Legends, like back in the 90s. And that's kind of how it starts. The lady comes in, she pulls up to it's raining, she pulls up to the gas station. And at that time, there was people that still pumped your gas back in the good old days. And she gives him her card, and he goes into the deal to run it. He comes back. He's like, "Hey, there was a problem with your card. I need you to come in and your card, the people want to talk at that time. Orange Jackson, it wasn't just as easy as swiping your card or whatever. If there was a deal, you actually had to call I guess whoever, MasterCard or whoever, you had to call them, and they had to verify it was you or something like that. Well, she's all freaked out because it's storming, it's nighttime, and the guy looks scary. So she's worried about him, and so she goes in, she calls the people, and he locks her in. And so that starts freaking her out. So she busts through the window, whatever, runs up to her car, and he's chasing her. And then she takes off, and he's like, hey. And, as she takes off, he yells, there's somebody in your back seat. Stuff like that. That's how that stuff gets, which is kind of scary. You think about that late at night and stuff. He didn't want to, I guess, let the guy know, that whoever was in the back seat, know that he knew he was back there. He was trying to lock them in. So he was trying to help her when she was trying to get away from him. What about Bloody Mary? Have you ever heard of that?
I never got into that one.
Have you? You know what it is? Or it's.
I do not.
So
you go into the dark room with the mirror?
Yeah, you go in the usually like in the bathroom. Yeah, and you say it 3 times, and she'll appear and harm you. This kind of stuff. It says it's fiction, a staple of sleepovers, but just as a psychological trick and fear of the dark. That kind of stuff I never played with. I was like, no, I'm not doing it, even though I don't even say Candyman 3 times. And that was a horror film kind of like that. You say his name 3 times, and he'll appear and all that stuff. So I don't even say that. Sean Duckett probably will.
I don't know if the Ouija board is on your list, but
I never got into any of that. It just let sleeping dogs lie for me. If it's not bothering me, I'm not going to bother it. Call in, let us know any that you've heard, or any, if you weren't scared of Bloody Mary. Oh, I said it twice. Or any of those, 286-6642. Till then, we got David Lee Murphy with Dust on the Bottle here on 96.7 KBEL. He said he stuttered. That's why he couldn't just tell her, and it freaked her out. Yeah, he was like, oh, he had a stutter, so he was like, you. So I guess back in the 90s, that freaked us out, Oran Jackson. Apparently, it was a good movie. HE double hockey sticks, no. Why not, Sean Duggett? See, black hair. Black hair. It's just when I come over here, the light. Talking about my white hairs. I don't want to Good morning, Cassie Johnson. We're talking about urban myths and any of the urban legends, the movie. Now I know there's like some sequels to that. I never watched those because I don't like movies sequels that don't have the original cast. Oh, and Candyman is 5 times. Well, I've said it twice now. And Sean says, because I don't want to die a horrible death if I don't have to. That is true. Yeah, Candyman seems to be way worse than Bloody Mary. Kobe Dwayne song request Nobody by Keith Sweat. Gets the day started off right. Keith Sweat. How about Toby Keith? That's a little bit too slow, man. It's 7 to 8 hours. That was David Lee Murphy with Dust on the Bottle. And we're talking about urban legends, urban myths that you may or may not have heard. Sean Douglas says he does not mess with any of that foolish rubbish. He said Candyman was 5 times, you got to say. And he'll be there. And you know, that's a fictional movie, but I still won't do it. Because Sean Douglas says he does not want to meet a horrible demise if he doesn't have to. Good morning, Cassie Johnson. Kobe Baker, give us another song request. No slow songs through the 7 to 8 hour, if we can help it. Cassie Johnson says, no thanks, same. We don't mess with that foolish rubberish. How about The Hook-Handed Man? See, that's where the Urban Legends movie, that's what it was about. A couple is parked when they hear a scratching sound. They later discover a hook hanging from the door handle. Status is fiction, a morality tale warning teens against parking, if you will. Back in the day, they used to have like shows like this, like just TV shows that would go over. And I think, not Are You Afraid of the Dark? What was that? Unsolved Mysteries. I think like every once in a while they would do stuff like this. Cassie says, I like Hook, the movie from the 90s, the Peter Pan movie with, was it Robin Williams? But yeah, the Hook-Handed Man, that's pretty much what the Urban Legends deal was about. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. A driver picks up a hitchhiker who gives an address. After dropping them off, they find out the person died years ago. See, they used to have stories like this. The one I remember seeing when I was a kid was this guy picked up this girl and she was like, had like a 50s outfit or something like that on. She had like a little scarf around her neck. And when he picked her up on the side of the road, he took her to, gave him a location. He took her there, dropped her off, made sure she got in. And then as he's driving home, he notices that her scarf is still in the car. So the next day he goes over and knocks on the door, and a little old lady answers the door. And he's, being polite, hey, I picked up your daughter or whatever, granddaughter. And, she left this in my car last night. And the woman just, kind of freaks out, starts crying and stuff. And he couldn't figure out why. And then come to find out that was her daughter that died back in the 50s or 60s, and it was impossible for, him to, she was buried with that scarf because she always wore it. So that kind of stuff like that, urban legends, urban myths, but it's just kind of fun. It's the fiction tale. It's fiction, but widely circulated ghost story across cultures. So I guess it varies. You get different stuff, but it's kind of fun. I like, seeing stuff like that. I just don't be messing around with none of the Ouija board or anything like that now, son. Good campfire stories. That'd be a good one. Just a little, campfire stories. How about the Pop Rocks and Soda explosion? Basically, all these are the urban legend movie stuff. Kids were warned that eating Pop Rocks, the little Pop Rocks, you put it in your mouth and they start all that stuff. They were warned eating Pop Rocks and drinking soda would cause their stomachs to explode. Was that a thing back? Because I remember that being in the 90s, but I used to do it all the time, so it was already debunked for me. The status is false. No one's stomach has ever exploded from this combo. And I can attest to that because I've done it plenty of times, even before watching that movie. Let us know what you think, and let us know if there was anything that you were scared of as a kid, urban legends, or maybe something your older brother or sister told you, or that one mean cousin who led you to believe this story for 30 years. Anything like that. 286-6642, or you can go on our Facebook and YouTube Live and let us know in the chat. Here's Kenny Chesney with When the Sun Goes Down. Here, 96.7 KBEL. Let's see. Okay, can I say yes to the Hook movie? Robin Williams, yes. Dude, Unsolved Mysteries scare the pants off of me. So wow, that's wild. Yeah, Grandma said that happens around Carter Mountain. She might have just been trying to scare at me. That's what they say. It's all crazy stuff. Everything gets harder when the sun goes down. Just take it easy. What is that myth? Those little Jumacucas or something that's not it. Those little monsters in the woods. Chupacabras in Mexico, wasn't it? How about when your mean cousins tell you the old outhouse is where the little people live? Cassie, do you mean chupacabras? Supposed to be like they eat all the farm animals and stuff. I wasn't sure if you meant the chupacabras or the canacushas, the little people. It was at Grandma's house. We'd be outside. Like just talking, hanging out, and it'd be nighttime. And Grandma would come in and tell her, we better come in, or they're gonna start playing with us. I don't even know if I should be talking about that on air, or when they're gonna come after me. Oh, they don't mess with people. They mess with like young boys. So wait, it's kind of cushions. That's it. Said, how is Oran today?
Doing fantastic. How are you, Cassie?
I don't even think I should be talking about kind of cushions on that. I don't feel comfortable. I feel like they're watching me now. That's one of the viewers on our stuff. Cassie says, fantastic as well. I am not saying that name on air. He can read your comment. I'm not going to say that name. Sean Duggett. She said, okay, let's just stop. All right, that was When the Sun Goes Down. And that may scare you if you're talking about these urban myths and legends, and especially in the Facebook chat that we got going on, because some of these I'm not saying on the air. I just don't. I'm not even gonna entice something that may be listening. I ain't gonna play with it. What about waking up in a bathtub full of ice? That's one of the crazy things, you know. I want to say like that always, the story is like they're in Vegas or somewhere around there. It's somewhere highly populated tourist, attractions. But it's a person wakes up in a tub of ice, calls 911, and your kidney's been stolen. I want to say that still goes, and I want to say I would not debunk that. I'd say that's on a case by case basis, because I'm pretty sure that probably does happen.
Yeah, I've seen it on Criminal Minds.
Yeah, its status is mostly false. So mostly false means yes, it has happened some way sooner. Somehow it may not even have been a kidney. It may have been something else. But just the fact that it says mostly false, like that's kind of like, well, it doesn't happen all the time. Every case wasn't true, but some were. While organ trafficking exists, the ice tub story is considered a modern myth. Like that one doesn't scare me as much because it's kind of like, keep to yourself and don't draw attention. Stay away from people that you don't know and stuff. Here's one that I did not know, and Disney, don't come after me. I did not know nothing about this. This is the first time I'm reading or hearing about it. The Mickey Mouse acid trip. A person at Disneyland takes a substance and believes the costume characters are attacking them, or they jump into the water thinking it's a cartoon. Status is exaggerated. Certain substance trips can cause hallucinations, but not verified. Theme park horrors like that. I've never even heard of that. That's just ridiculous. The haunted VHS tape. So that would be like the movie The Ring. Watching or playing a cursed media item brings doom, such as The Ring or Been Drowned. Status is fiction, but powerful in horror-telling stories and creepy, it says pasta culture. But that, how about the script? I can't remember what movie it was that they were saying was cursed, and anybody who read the script or went for the part, they passed away sooner or later. Let's see. Cursed script. Because they said that's like John Candy. I want to say like Chris Farley and all that. Was likely the unmade film Atuk, A-T-U-K. It was based on Mordecai Richler's novel, The Incomparable Atuk. It's considered cursed because multiple actors who were offered or considered the lead role died unexpectedly including John Candy, John Belushi, and Chris Farley. Now that's crazy because I guess it was supposed to be a bigger guy's role. And I remember seeing that when I was a kid. Them talking about that. John Belushi, John Candy, and Chris Farley all read the script, or they were all going to be going for the role and unexpectedly passed away. So there's stuff like that maybe it's true. We don't know. That's the urban myths, urban legends. Here's one to freak you out if you win any movie theater tickets, but stay tuned after this. We'll get to the needle in the cinema seat. Here on 96.7 KBEL, we got Micah's morning pick-me-up coming up in about 14 minutes. Here's Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker. That's the only myth I could think of. Oh my God. I already told you The Ring messed me up. Laugh out loud. Yeah. What about The Grudge? I did not like The Grudge.
So the girl that comes through the TV?
No, that's The Ring. The Grudge was supposed to be yeah, the long hair, and The Grudge was like a Japanese. Oh yes, those weird little kids. They did that growl weird thing. See, I'd have to watch that because I ain't watched The Grudge in I don't know how long. I just remember I did not like it the way it ended. Like it just ends, like no backstory. But it, I guess, leads into The Grudge 2. But I only watched the first one, so that kind of made me mad. I didn't want to watch the second one the way it ended. You need to explain to him just in case he goes to a powwow, so he'll know what not to do. I will explain to him, but I'm not saying it on the air. It was wild, yes, not a fan. Yeah, it made me mad because I needed answers. I needed closure in the movie, and I didn't like the fact that it just. What was it? The camera goes in front of her, and you can see the grudge, the little whatever behind her, and then it just goes. It's over. Like, you know, goes black, credit starts rolling, and it's like, what the crap? Like, so yeah, I was not a fan of that. Like, did it get her? Did it not? I don't know. And I'll never know because I haven't watched part 2 yet. Truck around feeling. Have you ever seen Arlington Road? I have not. What's that one about? What about y'all remember the story of a long time ago, a school bus got stopped on the train tracks or broke down on the train tracks, and a train, you know, hit it and killed all the kids. And so now, you know, anytime anybody goes over the train tracks, or is it like sometimes it's a 4-way. They got caught in the middle of the 4-way or something. So now it feels like your vehicle gets pushed over that area, so it never happens again. I remember seeing a deal back in the day, like they put baby powder on the back of their vehicle, and it could have been all fluff, but I just remember seeing they had like little hand fingerprints and stuff. That was Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker, and we're talking about urban myths and legends revealed. What are some that you have heard of personally, Oran Jackson? Like anything, any folklore or anything that's.
I'm not too big into urban myth and legends personally,
but everybody I feel like has that cousin, or older cousins especially. Like when you're 8 or 9 years old, you got the cousin that's 15, 16 in high school, and it's just, I don't know, maybe it's different. I feel like those cousins always like, I know I did. I tortured my little cousins that they were elementary school and stuff, just joking with them and stuff. But I feel like everybody has that, where either the older siblings or older cousins where, hey, did you know, what was it, gum? If you swallow gum, it stays in your body for like 7 years or something like that, or it gets stuck in your system or something, and it gets all sticky inside your body and stuff like that. Watermelon seeds. If you eat watermelon seeds, you're gonna grow a watermelon in there. Just different stuff like that. Just little stuff that even your grandparents or something like that. And Grandpappy is just joking around with you just to get a little kick out of it. Anything like that?
Yeah, I've heard the watermelon seeds.
Yeah,
sure.
The watermelon seeds. That's why, like, a lot of, like, when women are expecting, a baby, they'll be like, oh, she ate a watermelon seed. Just, a little fun little inside joke, I guess. But let's go back to the needle in a cinema seat. Now, folks, this has nothing to do with McCurtain Cinema. So don't start any wild stories. This is a folklore deal. Needle in the cinema seat. Someone sits in a theater and is pricked by a needle taped to the seat with a note, "Welcome to the disease club." That's scary, but its status is false. No documented cases based on irrational panic during the AIDS epidemic. So I guess that was a big deal during the 80s is when the AIDS epidemic was going all chaotic and stuff. But no cases have ever been, documented to, that'd be a crazy thing to start saying around town. Hey, feel bad for those theaters back in the 80s. What about spiders laying eggs in your skin? A person gets a bump on their skin that bursts and hundreds of spiders crawl out. Status is totally false. No spider species lays eggs in human flesh like that. I do remember seeing, it was a lady, she never washed her hair. It was like back in the 50s, when they got their hair done, the big beehive looking hairs, hair, just a big, massive, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what they call that. But she liked the way it looked, so she never washed her hair. She just, I can't remember what she did, but she never took it down. She didn't want to take it down and have to redo it every day. So she just never washed her hair. I think she tried to, do other stuff with it and stuff, so she didn't have to wash it. And one day she comes home and she starts seeing these bites and stuff all over her body as, time goes on. And then she goes home and in the mirror, she sees a spider. And then come to find out that, it's coming from her hair. And the more and more she, investigates, the more spider, and it's just a bunch of spiders inside her hair because she hasn't washed her hair in so long. And she starts cutting her hair off and stuff little by little. Stuff like that. I remember hearing that kind of stuff, which is scary as a kid. They did not care about us back in the 90s. Let me just let you know right now. They did not care about showing this stuff, which is probably like at 11 o'clock on a Friday night or something. I should have been asleep, but who sleeps at 11 o'clock on a Friday night as a kid? Let's see. I remember someone telling me in kindergarten in the lunchroom about what, Cassie? The spider. So, if you want to go to the chat, we got Micah's Monday morning pick me up coming up in about 5 or 6 minutes. But I'll tell you one thing not to do at a powwow if you just so happen to stumble in one or in Jackson one of these days. Right after Jason Aldean with Don't You Want to Stay with Kelly Clarkson here on 96.7 KBEL. Kayla told me I would have a baby. I was scared. Sean told me to tell you about a certain, appreciate it, TJ, Aaron, Misa, and Cassie for the likes and hearts and laughing faces. Good morning, Mies. Sean wants me to tell him about, I think saying it in Choctaw would be even worse because she'd hear me. It has to do with a certain animal that gets hunted in about the next month or two. And the female, a female person combined.
Does to what, deer?
Deer, and it's a half and half. Just know, if you ever stumble upon a powwow, don't look down at people's feet. And that's a real one. That's a real, I don't know if it's, just all fluff, but I tell you, I do not take the chance.
I've been a couple powwows before. I feel like I've looked at people's feet.
Don't. Because apparently, and this goes all across like all native cultures, any tribe, they have heard about it and they have, so I don't know if it's just native folklore, which makes it even more fun, but I'm still not going to do it. But make a point to like stare at people's feet, like look down all the time to where, because if you see anything else other than feet, maybe part of a deer, then she's found you. So that's what that's about. And apparently nothing good happens if she finds you, or if she points you out, or if you, if she catches you looking, I guess. I'm still not too 100% sure on that. But it's kind of like, in the Appalachian Mountains. Have you ever watched those?
Mm-hmm.
So
I watched, what was it? What was that one show? It was like they hunted Bigfoots.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It was like monsters. It was like mountain man, like mountain monsters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, they have stuff like that. But, the stuff like that, the Appalachian Mountains, they have, and they say not to say its name because it'll hear you and it'll come, it'll come find you. Same thing. It's like the Appalachians they call it this thing, but natives call it, each tribe has another word for it. So it has to be some truth to that, some folklore, something.
Don't you want to stay?
You playing any commercials or you
For
can't?
some reason I can't. It's like a black screen. I can play the hotkeys though.
Okay. That was Jason Aldean with Don't You Want to Stay with Kelly Clarkson. We'll be right back with Micah's Morning Pick Me Up right after this commercial break.
Personalized monuments that stand the test of time. Located just east of Rattan on East Island Road in Regal. Allen's Monuments is proud to serve families.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be some truth to that. If non-native people, because even now, if you look up Appalachian Mountains on TikTok and stuff, it'll be people talking about, what not to do if you're walking in the Appalachian Mountains. And don't go at night, first of all. Don't whistle at night. Don't whistle in the woods.
That makes sense.
Different stuff like that. It's like they have their, they're not even native. It's just what they, grandma, grandpa, old folklore, like stuff like, did this stuff really happen back in the day? And we just not aware with it. Yeah, Sean says, don't whistle at night. And, did this actually happen back in the day? I've heard a lot of not confirmed it was Bigfoot, but a lot of stories around here that it was taller than a man. Like they didn't confirm that it was. I've seen it was like it couldn't have been a man. It couldn't have been a person. It was too tall. One of them was like, the branch on a tree, it was shaking it, but it was way up there. Like you could see the eyes, but and everybody says it stinks, like it smells like rotten meat or something. So yeah, like it's a bunch of stories like that they all add up. They all have something in common like that. They say when it just smells like rotten meat. That's right here on Audubell's First 96.7 KBEL. You're listening to the Live on 259 Morning Show with Oran Jackson and Micah Frazier. How you doing today, Oran Jackson?
Doing fantastic, Micah. How are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful, cool Monday morning to start the week, and it just feels even better and better as time goes on. It's football weather. Football season, time to break out the light jackets and, the little windbreakers and stuff. Nothing too heavy. But it's almost hoodie season, folks. And it's a brand new week. It's here. And when it comes to something we sometimes take for granted, a fresh chance to think about, no matter what last week looked like, no matter what went right or what went wrong, whether your team lost or won, Cowboys, OSU and Dallas, they both, Oklahoma State just took a massive hit this weekend. While the Sooners, prevailed against Michigan. Dallas lost. The Chiefs lost. The Jets lost. Yeah, still mad about that. The Dolphins lost, I believe. It only went right for a few people around the county. But no matter what went right, what went wrong, today we've been handed a clean slate. Mondays get a bad reputation. But what if we flip the script? Instead of dreading the start, let's be thankful for it. This is an opportunity not just to get through the work or the work day, but to make the work yours, to take ownership, to put your stamp on the week. Gratitude shifts perspective. When you wake up thankful for the job you have, the team you work with, or even just a chance to chase your goals, your energy changes. You're no longer surviving the week. You're leading it. And, the old football coach, the old back in the day football coach used to tell us, after you work out so many days, off season, all this stuff, you do the same thing every week. Bench press, squats, hang cleans, jammer press, all this stuff. Every week, it just gets repetitive after a while. And you kind of just dread it, coming in, it's Monday, whatever. And he would tell us, like, guys, you got to change your perspective. If you come in dreading coming to workout, it's going to be a long workout. It's going to be a long day. Practice, the kids nowadays, they're in week 2 or week 3 now. You practice every, 3 or 4 days a week before the game. And it's like Monday, we got to do this. We do this on Mondays. They're dreading it. But he said, if you're dreading it and you feel like that, practice is going to take forever. It's just going to last longer. It's going to feel like it's lasting all afternoon, all evening. But if you come in and you're ready to go and you change your mind about it, you're ramped, you're amped, you're ready to go. Let's get it done. Let's get in here. Let's get some work done. He said, I promise you, it'll fly by. And that's exactly what happened. It was, the more you look forward to doing this and that, it seems like you never have enough time. And maybe that's why the weekends go by so fast, it feels like, is you're getting to do whatever you want to do, you get to get, that's your chance to go do it. And it just seems like the weekend is never long enough. But here's the challenge. Let's step into this Monday with a thankful heart and a determined spirit. Whether it's in the office, on the field, or at home, make this week yours and don't let it run you. You run to the end zone with it. Let's get after it. Let's be thankful and grateful for the chance to do it, because so many people don't this morning. That has been your Micah's Monday morning pick me up. Go out there, have a great week of work, great week of school. Thank you for listening to us here on 96.7 KBEL. And we have Zach Todd with I Never Lie.
See you, Cassie. See you tomorrow.
All right, Cassie, appreciate you listening. Sean says, don't whistle at night. If you hear somebody calling your name, but you hear a voice, don't answer. I always heard, if you hear somebody call you your name, no, you didn't.
Never show lady the word. I don't drink whiskey. I know how it feels to hurt. I've been lonely. Since you said goodbye. Wish I could say I miss you. But you know that
Jonathan, and it says, I always heard women used to listen and do as they're told, but never seen it happen. You gonna get beat, son. Don't know how it feels to hurt. The curse of, I'm not saying that name. Good morning, 96.7 KBEL. That's good. All right, no problem. Thank you for calling. You have a good day. Bye. Yeah, there is no way I'm saying that name, Sean Duckett, at all. That's one of those songs. All right, that was Keith Urban with Somebody Like You. And it is 8:01. Hope you made it to work on time and to school on time. And we're talking about urban myths. And these are some that totally are true. Shockingly true, if you will. People have been buried alive. The myth is in the past, people were mistakenly buried alive, which led to safety coffins with bells or breathing tubes. Did you ever hear about that?
Mm-mm.
See, certain things, and this just comes with time. People who have lived lives. Growing up, all my teachers were, I see a lot, and then I'm not knocking, it's there. I think I grew up in the last bit of the old teachers, like Miss Davis now at Broken Bow, Shanna Davis now. I was a part of her first freshman class, and that was the young teacher that we had, the youngest teacher. I think she was like 24, 25 at the time. It was unheard of to have a young teacher at that age because all of my teachers growing up were 30s and 40, or possibly late 20s, but there was not a young. Now you see more than ever young teachers, fresh out of school and in their mid 20s, sometimes a little earlier than that. So, like I said, I'm not knocking them, but a lot of life experience comes with. Like my teachers didn't just teach me what was in the books; they had knowledgeable facts. Fun fact, we'd be learning about Spain or something like that, and they just knew a fact. Maybe they've been there before. I remember one, I can't remember what teacher, she told us, and it was probably like third or fourth grade. She was like, if you ever go to Illinois, nothing makes people mad from Illinois more than you saying Illinois with an S, and enunciating the S. Said they do not like you saying Illinois. And being in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, you think Illinois. And that was when I learned, okay, say Illinois. From now on, just get used to saying Illinois. But just little fun facts like that. Like, these people have lived. They've been, vacationed here. They've just stuff they've learned along the way. They're passing it on. And I remember somehow, I can't remember, I don't even know what we were. That's probably the bad part, is I don't remember what we were talking about in class. But I remember the little fun facts. I remember one of my teachers telling us about they started putting bells with strings attached above the ground, and they would be attached to their finger that way, because they didn't embalm them back then. So it was, and back then it was, if you died that morning, by that afternoon, they were putting you in the ground. So there was no, if you just took a deep sleep, and because there would be people could be walking by the graves, and they would be hearing them yelling, yelling, and by the time they'd get all the shovels and stuff, and there was no backhoes and stuff like that to dig the dirt and stuff up. It was shovels. So by the time they'd get everybody together and start trying to dig them up, it's too late. So, but yeah, just little stuff like that. Like, the teachers would just have fun facts, like fun fact, this and that. They started putting bell, or they would attach a string to their fingers when they buried them, and it would be attached to a bell, and if they were buried alive, they would hear the bell above ground, ding, 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 and they knew that they had made a mistake.
I heard getting buried alive happens more than we think.
Possibly. What about the being conscious during surgery?
Oh, you've watched that movie?
I haven't watched the movie, but I think, yeah, Awake. I have seen, like, even just stuff like just on TV and stuff about that, where they could feel everything, but they can't do anything.
They're paralyzed.
Yeah, they're paralyzed, but they can feel everything. They can't move their body, but they can feel everything that's happening to them. Yeah. So all the scalpels and the slicing and dicing, they felt every bit of it.
That happens more than we think too.
Yeah. It says the truth about the buried alive, absolutely real in the 18th to 19th centuries. The fear of premature burial was widespread due to poor medical knowledge. Some coffins were designed with bells or flags that could be triggered by the quote-unquote dead. And let's see, dead bodies found under the hotel bed. The myth is guests complain about a bad smell, and hotel staff discovers a corpse hidden under the bed. It says truth. This has happened several times in places like Las Vegas, Florida, New Jersey. Some bodies were there for days before the discovery. I promise you that probably happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's a video on TikTok where this grocery store, this guy, like, he was trying to clean behind the coolers, the milk coolers or something like that. And he fell between the cooler and the wall. And you think like your grocery store, it's just there's nothing behind it. It's the outside. So there's nothing, but he fell like downward head first. So he couldn't get up. He couldn't move. And people were complaining that over the years, I want to say it was like 8 years went by before the cooler went out. And so they were going to replace the cooler. And I don't know, I want to say it was like 8 years. He was determined missing. They never seen him after that. They thought, he's just a missing person. Turns out he had died behind that cooler, and people were smelling his body. They thought it was like spoiled milk or something. Maybe there was spilled milk somewhere. Crazy to keep smelling that and not, think, well, maybe it leaked behind the cooler, maybe something. But yeah, like years had gone by, and he had done his body just decomposed, and it was already decomposed and everything. But they found him whenever they replaced the coolers, and I guess his family finally got closure about, hey, he never was missing. He was doing his job. That tells you never go above and beyond, folks. Like, there was no need to clean the back of the coolers. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you go above and beyond. But yeah, that was true. That story's true, surprisingly. What about snakes and rats in toilets? I've seen, I don't know about America, but I know like other countries and stuff, like they get snakes in their toilet. They'll open the toilet and there's a snake just comes swimming up through the pipes and stuff. The myth is you sit on the toilet and a snake or rat bites you. Ew, that's just when you thought the world was safe, folks. It's true. Real incidents of snakes, rats, and even frogs coming up through the plumbing have been reported worldwide, especially in Australia, the US, and Thailand. Very rare, but real. That's kind of like a Facebook post where it's like your chances of dying from a raccoon or a raccoon or a panda. I think your chances of dying from a panda are very slim, but never zero. It was like a percentage of this happening to you it's very slim, but it's never zero. Like, it could possibly happen. What about the real skeletons used in Disneyland rides? The myth is Disneyland used. Now, don't come for me, Disney. All right, I'm only reading from the screen. All right, I'm not shedding this information. It says the myth: Disneyland users used actual human bones in attractions like the Haunted Mansion or the Pirates of the Caribbean. Truth. True, in the early days, real skeletons were sourced from medical schools because fake ones looked too fake. Most have been replaced, but some reports say few skulls remain. Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Let us know what you think about all this. Oh, we had a caller earlier talk about, the getting through the week and stuff. She said she wakes up basically every day. And she said, she tells herself, this is the day the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And she said that's how she, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter. That's how she gets through the day and, gets her day started. So maybe try that, folks. Be positive about this Monday morning. Give us a call, 286-6642. We got your national days, notable birthdays, and memorable events coming up in about 9 minutes. Till then, here's Chris Stapleton with White Horse, 96.7 KBEL. Jay Westfield says, dang.
I think it's crazy that they use real skeletons.
Crazy. Like,
they had a whole life, memories, they had kids.
Think about somebody's grandkid went to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean, not knowing that that's Grandpa's skull or skeletons up there. Shonda says, fun facts. That's where Saved by the Bell came from. Really? Oh, total mind blown. The ring on the bell, or the finger, that's where the term Saved by the Bell came from. Is you got buried alive, and if you were still alive, that string would be on your finger. You ring the bell, and they would come dig you back up. And that's the term Saved by the Bell. That's crazy. When I wake up in the morning, the alarm clock's humming, and I'm gonna make it on time. I don't know all the lyrics, but I should know the lyrics, but not right now. I just want to sing. That's crazy. I never even thought about that. I'm gonna put that on MySpace. Sean Duggett just blowing my mind today. Ooh, it's Star Trek Day. National Pediatric Hematology Oncology Nurses Day. National Boss Employee Exchange Day. Jay, it's National Boss and Employee Exchange Day. How about we exchange paychecks today? Does that sound good to you? We swap paychecks with the boss today. And that's it for today. Just 3. And we are back. That was Chris Stapleton with White Horse. Oran Jackson. Sean Duckett on our YouTube live just blew my mind. He says that, we talked about the bell, attached to a string, and that'd be attached to the corpse's or the person's body or finger. So, they started doing that so that if somebody was buried alive, they could, move their finger and it would ring the bell and that would notify people that they were alive. He says, fun fact, that's where Saved by the Bell came from. The term Saved by the Bell. Total mind blow. I never even thought about that. Crazy stuff. Talking about urban myths and legends that are true. A corpse mistaken for a Halloween decoration. The myth is people think hanging a body or a strange smell is a spooky decoration. Turns out it's a real corpse. It's true. There are multiple documented cases, such as a woman in Delaware in 2005 whose body was hanging from a tree for hours before anybody realized it was a corpse. Imagine that. It's 2005, Oran Jackson. You're trick-or-treating, making your way up. What would you have been back in 2005?
I'd have been -1.
-1? Really? Jeez. That's how my old mind thinks. So 2005, imagine you got what was popular back then? Let's just say Blue's Clues. Imagine you got your Blue's Clues outfit on for Halloween. Mom and dad's taking you trick-or-treating, and you see the old scary corpse hanging from a tree in Delaware. And they're like, geez, that looks scary. That looks authentically real. And it just so happens, yes, it's a real woman hanging from a tree that nobody realized it was real. I'm not going to read that. That one's kind of gory. I don't want to make nobody sick. What about a ghost ship found adrift with no crew? The myth is a fully operational ship is found at sea with no crew, food untouched, sails up, but everyone gone. It turns out it's true. The most famous case is the Mary Celeste in 1872, found adrift in the Atlantic with no sign of struggle, still unsolved. That's like one of my biggest fears. Not just for me, like imagine, what was it, that kid that he was on vacation or something, or he was a LSU student and he jumped over to go swim with the sharks or something like that, and then he got lost. It was nighttime and he jumps over the boat, over the rails, like, I guess a dare. They dared him to do it. So he does it and he gets washed away. And all of a sudden you start seeing fins coming up because they said like sharks follow these cruise ships because they throw the old food and stuff out into the ocean and the sharks eat it. So they've been trained to follow that boat because, that's where, there's going to be food coming out. So, yeah, I want to say it's like 3 years ago, but he jumped overboard and was, just trying to be it was a college kid. So, just trying to be that crazy guy. He'll do anything, dare him and he'll do it. Well, that was the last dare he did. He do not dare no more. They never found him. And some people say in the video you can see sharks around him and stuff, but it's pitch black. I don't think anybody, I have yet to, I don't know what it looks like, but they say without a boat or any light, out in the ocean is the darkest you will ever see. Like you will never, you can't see anything at all. It's darker than just being, I don't know. I've never witnessed it, but that's what they say. I think I've heard Jay say that a couple of times, where it's darker than dark. It's darker than anything you've imagined before. But yeah, stuff like that. Going overboard, doing stuff like that. Don't do that, kids. I'm not going to do that because PETA's going to come after me. It's time for your national days, notable birthdays, and memorable events. Are you a Star Trek fan, Oran Jackson?
I'm not.
You're not.
No.
What about Star Wars? You like Star Wars?
I never got into it.
I never did either. And then by the time I wanted to, it was like, well, there's movies. I'm not going to start now, because there's too many movies I'd have to catch up on. So I'm not, and I don't have the time now. I just don't want to watch 12 movies to get what's going on, what's going on with everything. But it's National Star Trek Day. September 8th, across the globe, celebrates Star Trek Day on September 8th to remember the timeless legacy Star Trek has made on society and pop culture. And I want to say that's the live long and prosper deal. I don't know. It could be Star Wars. I don't know. National Pediatric Hematology and Oncology Nurses Day. September 8th is National Pediatric Hematology and Oncology Nurses Day. Recognizes the hard work and dedicated professionals bringing care to patients every day. And it's also National Boss and Employee Exchange Day. Each year on the Monday following Labor Day, National Boss / Employee Exchange Day offers an opportunity to see how the other half of a business works. So tell your boss you want to kick back all day today, and he run the errands, and he make the copies, and he burn the coffee. Your notable birthdays for September 8th. We got Charles J. Guiteau, 1841, convicted assassin of President Garfield. We have Ida Henrietta Hyde, 1857, inventor of the microelectrode. Seth Weeks, 1868, considered the first American known to write a mandolin concerto in 1900. Jimmy Rogers, 1897, country music musician and yodeler, considered to be the father of country music. Yodeling. Grace Metalius, 1924, author of one of the best-selling novels of all time, Peyton's Place. Patsy Cline, 1932, country singer of Crazy, I Fall to Pieces, and Walking After Midnight. Adrian Cronauer, 1938, Vietnam Air Force sergeant and radio host who inspired the movie Good Morning Vietnam, Now I feel bad for getting that. I know I'm saying the last name wrong. But hats off to you, Adrian. Ronald Pigpen McKernan, 1945, harmonica and electric organ player who co-founded the Grateful Dead. Benjamin Orr, 1947, bassist and co-founder of alternative rock band The Cars. Esther Sands, I'm not going to say the last name, Take Yuchi, 1953, scientist and engineer who invented batteries for implantable cardioverter. Ruby Bridges, 1954, the first black student to attend a formerly whites-only elementary school, William Frantz Elementary School in Louisiana. And last but not least, Alicia Beth Moore, 1979, contemporary glam rock singer of hits like Get the Party Started, Try and Give Me a Reason. Your memorable events for September 8th, 1920, the first U.S. mail service begins from New York City to San Francisco. 1930, Richard Gurley Drew invents Scotch tape. We thank you. 1930, the comic strip Blondie makes its first appearance. 1952, Ernest Hemingway's novel The Old Man and the Sea is published. 1966, Star Trek premieres with its first aired episode, The Man Trap, on TV. 1892, the Pledge of Allegiance is first recited for the first time. 1974, President Ford pardons former President Richard Nixon for any crimes he may have committed while in office. I am not a crook. 1990, the Ellis Island Historical Site opens on Ellis Island in New York City. And in 1996, it just so happens, I talked about this a while ago, Blue's Clues debuts on Nickelodeon. That has been your September 8th National Days, notable birthdays, and memorable events for 2025. Stay tuned for Trading Lines coming up at 8:30. Till then, here's Head Over Boots by John Party. Need Masters, good morning. My daughter Tisha Orozco on birthday list. Peggy San Juan, thank you. All right, we got them on the birthday list. All right. Thank y'all for listening and chilling with us and talking about urban myths and legends, true and false. We will be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Come chill out with us. Say hi. Say what's up. Call in. Request a song. Just come hang out. We'll see y'all in the morning.